All right, Avengers Infinity War, we're finally here. Yes, there's a couple more movies after this, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel. But Infinity War is the one you want to get to. That leads into Endgame, of course. And man, if I wasn't excited for Endgame before this, holy shit, am I ready for Endgame right now. I'm telling you, doing the marathon, just knocking them all out, one after the other like I have, and really paying close attention and putting together all the little teeny pieces and seeing what movies play into these, old threads and all that. It has been so rewarding, and it has raised my excitement level to a whole new height. And Infinity War was that one I was probably the most looking forward to revisiting as I continued to go deeper and deeper into this, because as I learned more about Captain America, Tony Stark, so on and so forth, I knew that was going to have bigger impact on Infinity War, because so much happens in there and you're really dealing with almost every character you ever met in this entire franchise. And Infinity War is something I had only seen one time all the way through. And at that time, I had not rewatched any of these movies close to it outside of, maybe like Black Panther right before it or something. But outside of that, I definitely had never done some kind of marathon. It makes so much of a difference. Like, I really enjoyed Infinity War when I saw it the first time, no doubt. I mean, it would be very hard for you not to like it. But I liked it so much more this time because I just felt every beat. I felt every character moment. I really understood everything that was going on this time. My first view through, I knew what was going on, but I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's get into the movie itself. So, I couldn't be more excited for Endgame. I have my tickets, 6 o'clock, Thursday showing. I was just watching this whole freaking report about how it's potentially going to make $1 billion opening weekend worldwide. I don't even think people can comprehend how insane that would be. Like, that's something that I don't even know if it's feasible, even if they sold out every seat in every theater in the world and every showing. The fact that it's even that they're saying that it might actually happen is crazy. They're keeping theaters open, certain theaters open for 72 straight hours to meet the demands of what's going on. Every time they open up, I was watching someone who works for Fandango, and they were saying that every time they open up another theater, every time they open up another showtime, no matter what time of night, no matter what time it is, it sells out like that. It's fucking insane, the hype that this film has. And then now that the critics have come out with a 98%, and it's only because one critic gave it a negative review, every other one of them was glowing, and I've been watching a few of them. I'm not usually big into the critics, but I'm so hyped about this, and I haven't watched any trailers for Endgame. So, all right. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Endgame. We're here to talk about Infinity War, but it's hard not to get super excited for this. This video won't age well because once this is, Endgame's been out for a while, people will watch this and be like, is he ever going to stop talking about Endgame and get to the fucking point? All right. Let's get to the fucking point. All right. So, we get this attack here in the opening on Thor's ship. And this is where we left them in Thor Ragnarok. So it's just like cue right into what we left behind. And Thanos has taken out half the ship. They say later in the movie that he killed half of everyone on board. Where everyone else was during this confrontation between Loki and Thor and Heimdall and eventually Hulk, like, where was half the crew? Were they locked up somewhere? I mean, it's a big ship. But there's just, I don't know, there's no sign of them. There's just dead bodies everywhere. So I don't know if they moved them onto Thanos' ship or I don't know what happened to all those guys. But supposedly they only killed half the ship because that's what Thanos does. He wipes out half the population. They stress this throughout the entire film. this is what he wants to do. And we're going to absolutely talk about that much, much more. And so this guy is sitting there, Thanos' little lackey there, and he's telling them, like, you should be grateful you're getting attacked by Thanos. Like, you should be thanking him. It reminds me of the scene in My Cousin Vinny. You think I should be grateful? I think you should be down on your fucking knees. That's how, he should have had My Cousin Vinny be his little spokesman there. It's about what it felt like. And Loki finally sticks up for his brother for real. He doesn't have any tricks up his sleeve for Thor anyways. He tries to have a trick up his sleeve for Thanos, but that doesn't work out too well for Loki here. And he can't watch his brother be hurt like that. He really does seem to care about him, and he pulls the Tesseract out and gives it over to Thanos, and Thanos kills him because he tries to, of course, kill him first. And I think this is probably the end of Loki once and for all. I know he has a TV series coming out, but I do think that will be set before the events of any of this stuff. Could be wrong. I mean, I think anyone's open to come back, possibly, but Loki's died enough times in this franchise that I feel like if they resurrect him again, that it's just going to be like, okay, like, is any character ever really going to stay dead? And any character that dies in Endgame, are they really dead? Like, it's Pandora's box in a way. And I know they're going to bring characters back in it, but it's just got to be handled correctly. So I don't know. We'll see where Loki ends up in Endgame. And so, Loki gets to flip the script here. He had the line delivered to him of "We got a Hulk," and he gets to use it on Thanos here, and Thanos beats the shit out of Hulk. Like, handles him like nothing. He punches him, and it's like the first punch he lands on Hulk. Hulk is just stunned. He can't believe what the hell just happened to him. He's so hurt. And so much to the point where, Heimdall has to send him back to Earth to avoid getting killed. But he refuses to come out. Could he have killed him there? Like, could he have just grabbed the Hulk and snapped his neck and been done with it? Like, does he have that power? I don't know. I mean, Banner's tried to kill himself. Banner, he's gotten shot with all sorts of tanks and everything, and he hasn't died. He doesn't seem to be defeatable, but could Thanos have killed him like that? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible. No one's ever been able to, and he has the gauntlet on at this point, and I think he already has like 2 Infinity Stones in it by this point, so it's definitely possible. It's just we've never seen the Hulk beat down like that, and I think that was the perfect way to start this movie. We need to take a villain that's been teased for years and years and years, and you have to have him be a formidable foe, like, out the gate. How do we do that? How do we make this guy, how do we convey to the audience that this guy is a force to be reckoned with that you've never seen on this scale before? And it's like, have him beat the fuck out of the Hulk. No one else has ever been able to do that. Yes, Thor has been able to give him a run for his money. Tony has had the Hulkbuster suit, and he was able to compete with him, but no one's ever, like, readily handled him before. Like, just put him down and broke him. Like, I've never seen a Hulk actually get his ass kicked to the point where he looks like he's hurt, like he's scared, like he's injured. It's a completely different kind of ass kicking, and it immediately makes you go, oh, this guy's no joke, and he is not. I'm very curious on if Titans are all as strong as him. Is he an abnormal Titan? Because all of his people are dead because they didn't listen to him. But what was his planet like? Was it just a bunch of Thanoses running around? And oh my God, they should have ruled the galaxy, right? I mean, if there was millions or billions of those kinds of creatures out there, Jesus Christ, who's going to stand up to them? If Thor can't, I mean, yes, he has the Infinity Gauntlet, and there's 2 stones on there, but he's able to harness that. and he's, Mad Titan. He's the strongest foe in the galaxy, and this is before he even has a stone. So yeah, I'm curious on his race's power level there. Hemdall is also killed off in this. I think that's another death that's absolutely permanent, which was a shame because I really liked where Hemdall's character went in Thor Ragnarok. I liked him taking in the refugees. I liked that they expanded upon his story, but it was a good moment because it's a character we know a lot, but we don't know super well to the point where it's this enormous death. It's just a big enough death to kind of go, oh shit, this guy means business. He just killed Loki. He just killed Hemdall. He just kicked, Hulk's ass. He left Thor behind like he was nothing. This guy this guy's force for sure. And then Pepper and Tony are married. So we left off on Spider-Man Homecoming with a possible engagement. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they actually did get engaged in that moment. But here we are. We fast forward not too long after, and they are married in this movie. Now, he makes a reference to the fact that he had a dream she was pregnant. I think this will come true in Endgame. I think Pepper will be bearing their child, and that's going to push Tony even further and probably cost him his life in one way or another. I don't think Tony's getting out of this. In fact, I think it's possible that almost every Avenger that we have left in this movie dies, but we'll see. Like the originals, which all the original 6 are here, and I think most of them will probably die. I can see Black Widow and Hawkeye staying around. Especially since both of them are either getting their own TV show or their own movie, whether or not that will be set in the future of after this or before, I don't know. But yeah, I could see any one of those guys dying. All right. And then Tony has Cap's phone on him that he gave him at the end of Civil War, which I thought there's just so many callbacks. There's so many connective tissues. There's so many... there's such good continuity. You know how much I love that shit. Tony meets Dr. Stephen Strange, which their personalities are going to clash like hell, and my God, do they ever. Bruce Banner cannot get the Hulk to come out. He's so terrified of Thanos that Hulk won't even come out. He's shut himself in, refuses to come play. It's nothing we've ever seen from Hulk before. We got all these new upgrades on Tony's suit, of course. As every movie goes, Tony has to get more and more freaking cool gadgets. This time he's using nanotech, so he doesn't even have to have a suit, really. And yeah, I mean, there is some serious upgrades. He has like freaking blasters that come out to the sides, and he has like this rocket booster on the bottom of the chute so he can shoot up into space, and it just is so elaborate and over the top, but whatever. I mean, if you can accept all the other stuff, you can accept this. And speaking of new suits, Spidey gets his suit that he turned down in Homecoming here, so that he can, not only have better upgrades, but that he can survive out there without oxygen. I guess this thing has a built-in oxygen tank. I don't know where that would fit, but I guess it has just like it couldn't make oxygen in space, so I don't know. Who cares? You can't overthink this shit. And then, so you got Tony and Spidey. Tony tries to get rid of Spidey off the ship, but he, of course, isn't having it, stays on the ship, and they go after Doctor Strange there. And then we have the Guardians of the Galaxy, which we have not seen in the Avengers movies yet. And great introduction here, them all singing that Rubber Man song, and teenage Groot that we kind of got to know a little of at the end of Guardians Volume 2. Pretty funny stuff there. This was such an impossibly hard balancing act that the Russo brothers had to pull off, and they just did. And I cannot wait to see how they handle that in Endgame. I have no doubt from everything I've heard that they nail it. as we all pretty much expected them to do. I think we would all be pretty damn shocked if they didn't pull Endgame off. They're gonna pull it off. I guarantee it. For me, for sure. So the Guardians are called in to distress call. The humor in this is so solid. There's so many hilarious moments. There's so much great blending. And of course, characters have kind of been resorted to comedic relief only. Like Drax and Mantis are just purely comic relief in this and have very little to do otherwise. Which I know some people dislike, that Drax has kind of just taken more of a comedic role in these movies. But, you know, I don't know what more he's capable of than that. Other than just being brawn that comes in and punches people. He doesn't really have a ton of personality to him. We get it sometimes. We get it here and there when he talks about his family, but he can only have those emotional cues so much. And his character is, you know, it's not super deep. And so I don't mind that he's kind of become comedic relief. It works. I laugh. I have a good time. I enjoy his character on screen, so he serves his purpose. He's not a main character. He's a side character for the most part anyways, so I don't need him to have some huge complete arc. He's already taken down Ronan, and now he's after Thanos, and this is what this whole message is about. So if they succeed in killing him, then he kind of gets there by proxy. And oh man, the new Spidey suit, the fact that it actually has spider legs on it is so cool. I love seeing that shit. That's just awesome. When Thor is picked up by the Guardians of the Galaxy, the whole like Peter being jealous of Thor and all this stuff they call him, the pirates and the angels and all that, it's really, really funny. Rocket, Groot, and Thor go off to make Stormbreaker, which another great line, like, what do they call it? And he's like, Stormbreaker, and Rocket's like, it's a bit much. The timing, the comedic timing, always with Rocket. Rocket has the best comedic timing in the franchise, probably. Wanda and Vision have a romantic thing going on here, which I feel makes sense. I mean, they're both kind of born of the Mind Stone. They would have that in common. They're both outcast freaks. So that makes sense. And yeah, I think it works. I think that the way that it plays off in Civil War, I feel like this is a pretty natural progression of what, you know, she's trying to hold her back. They're hanging out a ton in the house there. It works. I don't feel it's shoehorned at all. And then Wanda and Viz get attacked, and here comes Cap rocking a beard. Oh, how cool. I love that shit, man. He looks awesome with a beard. I was kind of bummed to see in some production stills that he shaved his beard off for Endgame here, but I think he looks fucking awesome with a beard. And I have to say, you know, after revisiting this franchise, Captain America has won me over as my favorite superhero in the MCU. I'm pretty surprised to say that, having not liked the first one almost at all the first time I watched it, liking, you know, almost loving it now. But man, I've come a long way with Captain America. And Thanos taking Gamora from the Guardians here, and Gamora wanting Peter to kill her, and making him make a promise on his mother and all this, and he keeps his promise. I mean, I was surprised to see him actually pull the trigger. Yes, Thanos controls reality at this point, and I feel like that's extremely unfair. He could just make you see anything he wanted to see, and how could you fight back against that? You really just couldn't. So, good thing that his gauntlet seems to be seriously damaged at the end, so maybe he won't have those powers, which I just can't imagine he would. Otherwise, he'd just snap them out of existence too. So I think that does play into it to an extent. And Bruce and Natasha seeing themselves after he comes out, and he's like, yeah, I'm back, and it's been years. That was a big moment. That was a really big moment. I was, that's 1 year. It's like, oh shit, yeah, he's been gone. He left her behind in Age of Ultron. They haven't seen each other since Age of fucking Ultron. So they haven't seen themselves since the last Avengers movie. It's been a while. So that's a big moment. They don't really play on it though, because this movie does not have time to fuck around. This movie does not take a minute. It does not have time to, go and focus on their little reunion and maybe spark the fire back up. They just don't got time for that shit. Scarlet Witch can destroy the stone right there and then. And of course, because she loves him and that's why they had to have the love there. But I feel like everyone else should have been pushing for her to do it. But of course, they don't want to kill Vision, and so they're like, wait, I know somebody, and we know Shuri over in Wakanda. She can actually take this thing out of you, and you can still exist without it. You've become so complex that you don't need the Mind Stone anymore to exist. And then, should she have killed him right there and then? Maybe, but because they thought that they could do it, I see that as a decent enough reason. And then, so they get Strange back by throwing fucking Squidward out into space there. And I liked his character. He was creepy. All the stuff he was saying about Thanos and being grateful, and then like his fight, being able to just kind of throw things around and split them and throw that. Yeah, I dug his character. I thought it was pretty surprising when he died, kind of as fast as he did. And I was like, oh, that guy's gone. He's dead. Okay, enough of that guy, I guess. And they decided to take the fight to Thanos instead of turning around and going home, because it's enough running away. Tony's finishing this shit right then and there. Spider-Man is kind of Brianna Tarth dubbed in Avenger there. No spoilers for Game of Thrones. And then, Thanos. This is Thanos' movie. I mean, Thanos is such a compelling and interesting, thought-provoking character. He's easily the best MCU villain for me, like by far. His character, for me, is so complex and so relatable in a way. Yes, he's the Mad Titan. Yes, he's crazy and whatnot in how he wants to go about this, but his logic is sound. I mean, anybody who believes in finite resources and, dying planets and can absolutely understand where he's coming from. The fact that Titan didn't listen to him and they all perished. The fact that he has that talk with Gamora and he said, she says, you came in and you killed half my people. And he's like, yeah, when I got there, you guys were all starving. You guys were all in disarray. And when I left, what is it now? They're thriving. And it's like, it's hard to argue with that evidence. That is where Thanos is so compelling to me, because I sit there and I'm like, I know he's bad. I know he's in the wrong, but I completely understand what he's doing here. And I completely, there's a part of me, a bad part of me, I guess, that agrees with him and is like, yeah, I mean, that really would help things out. That really would make such a huge difference. I mean, if half the planet dropped dead tomorrow, I mean, it would suck horribly. I'm not going to say it wouldn't, and it's not something I want to happen, but the Earth would be in a better place. I'm not going to say it wouldn't. It would. So in a way, I have to understand where he's coming from, at least. And he's such a fucking haunted character in this movie. All the stuff he does for his cause. And what's great about him is at the end of this movie, when he finally succeeds and does what he's set out to do since the beginning, and he's lost everything. There's that scene. Oh, it's such a fucking beautiful scene when he snaps his fingers and he wakes up and there's a baby Gamora in front of him, and she's like, was it worth it? What did it cost you? Everything. It's such a heartbreaking moment. You want to feel bad for this. You don't want to feel bad for this fucking monster. But he really did sacrifice everything to do what he thought was right for everyone. He's only there to, he's not in search of power. He's not in search of, I know, yes, the Infinity Stones are power. But what I'm saying is that he's not trying to rule anybody. He's not looking for credit. He's not looking for his name in the fucking cosmos. He's not looking for notoriety or thanks or anything. He knows that everyone he's done this to will hate him. He just does it because he knows it to be right in his heart and his soul. And when he goes and when he snaps his fingers and whatnot, and he has his little vision, and then he's on his planet, wherever the hell he is, and he is in his little house. It's just a little shack, like sitting out in the middle of fucking nowhere. He doesn't have some grand palace. He's not trying to take control of anybody. He's not trying to get people to worship him. He's not trying. There's none of that. There's no materialistic needs. There's no monetary gain. There's no nothing. He literally is just doing it because he wants to save everybody. It's so brilliantly written and so well conceived and makes so much sense of why he's doing what he's doing. He just makes me want. He's one of the most interesting characters ever in film to me. The way it's portrayed, the motion capture, the look of Thanos, the performance from Josh Brolin that kind of comes through the CGI and whatnot. Speaking of the CGI, this is something that I just couldn't stop thinking about through this movie and plenty of others, but this one in particular, and I'm sure to be Endgame as well. I hate to be repetitive here, so bear with me, but I will yet again bring up the Hobbit trilogy. There's a lot of complaints about that fucking franchise. I'm sorry, I just can't. It makes no sense to me. You didn't like the movie, but the reasoning why people don't like the movie, but why they're okay with this one, seem to contradict one another. Like, oh, well, the villains are all fucking CGI. Where's all the practicals, this and that? All the villains in this movie. The army that he sends to Wakanda, all his freaking like lackeys that he has out there with Proxima, Midnight, and all them, and Squidward guy, and Thanos himself. They're all motion captured. They're all CGI. So they opted for pure CGI villains in this entire fucking movie. And you take three movies to tell this story. It took fucking 21 movies to tell this one. Like, I don't know. It's just, and yes, you don't like it. As I said, that's fine. You have that right. But your excuses need to be better. Really do, because they're not holding up in comparison to these movies. It's just, that was then and this is now, and this isn't that much longer. It's only like 5 years later, and I feel like everything that they were being bashed on for 5 years ago, everyone seems to be completely fine with now. So maybe it just set the standard there and people just got used to it, but that kind of took the hit for being that thing that came in, even though Avatar came out years and years before that and was kind of all that. I don't know, but that's another film that people love to hate. I don't know. Anyways, all right, just moving on. I was just watching this and I was like, there's so much CGI in this. Anyway, all right, and then I already talked about all that shit. Oh, the Nebula tortured stuff when he has her all pulled apart and you looks at her and it's like completely normal up front, and then he turns to the side and it's all pulled apart. Oh, that was nuts, and just keeps shocking her, and she just can't let her sister be shocked like that. She gives up the location to the Soul Stone. And Thor has lost everything. You want to talk about a character? I feel like Thanos and Thor, more so Thor. Thor has lost. I guess they're kind of pretty similar. They both lost their planets. They both lost everyone they love in their life. They both are on this quest to do what's right and what they think they need to do. They've been betrayed by family members in their eyes. I mean, Thor and Thanos probably would get along if they didn't have such drastically different goals. Rocket gives Thor back an eye here, so he kind of gets his eye back in this movie. We find out that Thor is 1,500 years old in this movie. Peter Dinklage making an appearance here as a dwarf, but a very, very tall dwarf. So on his planet, I guess dwarves are still dwarves, but they're really, really tall in comparison to our humans. And his name is Eitri. And he is the one who was forced to make a gauntlet for Thanos. And instead of, like usual, killing half the people, when he came in, he forced them to do it and then killed everyone but E3. Is that how you say his name? And then took his hands. Fucking poured metal over his hands so he has no use of his hands anymore. And then... I already talked about all that. And we find out from Doctor Strange that they have a 1 in 14,605 possibilities. This is a 1 in 14 million chance of winning. 1 in 14 million. They lose in every other scenario. So when Doctor Strange gives up, now people want, of course, blame Peter for what he did here. Peter Quill, not Peter Parker. I know there's a lot of hate on him for doing that, for coming in and hitting him and waking Thanos up and the glove and all that. But Strange committed to this after he saw every possibility imaginable. So Strange would have acted in accordance to whatever needed to happen in that one scenario. In that scenario, Star-Lord had to do that for Thanos to then snap his fingers, kill everyone, and then whatever happens in Endgame. Like, everything that happens from that point on had to happen that way. So I feel like that's the way to defend any action anybody makes in anything that happens past him looking into the future of the possibilities. Because he has to act in accordance. And he can't tell them what to do, of course, because that would probably alter that. But I feel like this is, obviously they're gonna fucking win. Like, they're gonna win, win, whatever you consider to be winning, but that's gonna be the win. And it's the 1 in 14 million. This is the way it had to be. So when people are calling him out for that, I'm like, yeah, but that's how it had to happen. So I don't see it as a big deal. It is a bullshit moment. You're like, Peter, what the fuck are you doing, you idiot? Like, you feel like if they just got the gauntlet off, but I'm sure that if they did, I'm sure in a different version of that, he saw Peter Quill listen to him a million fucking times, and he took the gauntlet off, and then he got it back on and killed them all right there. Who knows? There's alternate timelines. Who knows? Red Skull's appearance. How cool. A person we haven't seen in so long. We haven't even heard a mention of him in forever. Yes, Hydra is still around a lot, but Red Skull completely vanishes. We never know what happened to him, and boom, here we go. It's so cool that they tied Red Skull back into this. It was just fantastic to see him again. Gamora laughing and being like, oh, you're punished, man. You love nothing. And the look on his face speaks 1,000 words. Like, oh, I love you, and I'm going to kill you. And she's like, you don't love me. And it's like, he clearly does. There's no argument here. Like, it's a spell, and the spell can only work if he truly does love Gamora. So you can argue, well, it's just a sick love and this and that. It's still love. I mean, who are you to say what real love is? I mean, there really is no true interpretation of what love is. In his mind and his heart, something so much that it convinces the Soul Stone to give itself to him. He loves her, and you can see it. When he snaps his fingers, what does he see? He sees Gamora. That's where he goes. That's where his mind goes. Where'd you lose? Everything. Gamora is his fucking everything, and she hates him. And you can see how much that hurts him when she comes in. I always hated that chair, and I hated my life, and I hated you, and all this. And it's just like, he is on this mission. He doesn't give a fuck who he hurts. He doesn't give a shit what he has to give up. He is doing this to save everyone. And you almost got to commend the guy for having such conviction, as crazy as it may seem. And Cap and company go to Wakanda. which this whole fight sequence in, they give him a shield. I don't like the shield. I don't like the way it's designed. I don't like the look of it. It's too small. Like, I want to see Cap's shield. Something should have been bigger. It should have had more flair to it. It's not memorable. It's kind of a lame shield. So one of my only complaints is Cap's shield. If that's what you're complaining about, then you're watching a fantastic movie, which you are here. But I didn't like the shield. Wakanda battle is awesome. Love to see M'Baku here. I love to see, lots of characters that you saw in the first one. I didn't see W'Kabi, so did he get locked up? I don't know. Also, on Thor's ship, I never did see Valkyrie, but I will bet money she'll show up in the next movie, because he killed half the people on board, and I'm gonna guess that. And then half those people who he killed on board died. Like, half of the half vanished by his snap, statistically speaking. So a fourth. So any planet he already went to and killed half the people, they kind of got double fucked, because now they're down to a fourth, which is really unfair. And is it like, does it evenly spread out through the planets? Like, if you have, 2 billion people on your planet, does it kill 1 billion people on your planet? Or is there, like, let's say 4 trillion life forms out in the galaxy and 2 trillion get wiped away? And so maybe other species get way overbalanced than others. Like, it takes out an entire planet of one species and then doesn't touch an entire other species. Is it just half of every one of them? I don't know. Something to ponder. I ask the tough questions. Or the dumb questions. So Thor takes the full force of a star to the back. That scene with him and Dinklage about, like, it might kill you, and he's like, you might die or something. He's like, yeah, only if it kills me. That's what killing you means. That was such a funny line. Groot makes the handle, which I feel like it was the only thing they could find for Groot to do. It was like, what can we get Groot to do? Teenage Groot here. He can have a couple little comedic lines, and I don't know. Like, every character had to have some purpose in the movie, and they really had almost nothing. Like, Mantis got to kind of control Thanos' mind for a second. Drax holds his leg. I don't really know what Drax does in this movie that's all that helpful, to be honest. He gives up their position. He's kind of useless in this movie, to be honest. I guess he isn't handled perfectly, but at least Groot gets to make the handle of Stormbreaker, so that's a big moment there. Thor comes to Wakanda. That was a pretty badass sequence to see him come out of there. And I already talked about all that. And they were waiting for Wanda to leave Vision so that they could go and attack Vision. They lured her out. Smart plan there. Tony is stabbed, and Doctor Strange gives up the Soul Stone. We kind of already talked about this because he knew the outcome. Thanos just comes to Earth and cuts through the Avengers. Just Captain America, Black Panther, everyone who runs at him just... And he grabs and freaking, Wanda has to kill Vision. She's crying. She's freaking out. She's like, no, I can't fucking do it. And she finally does it, breaks it. And you're like, oh shit, he didn't get it. And you're thinking, this is the typical Hollywood ending. They succeeded. She did it. Thanos is going to be pissed. He's going to run off. He's going to try to figure out something else. And it's like, I got the time stone, bitch. Whew. Turn that dial back. Grab that shit out of his head. Pop it in. Thor comes in, stabs him in the chest, and he's like, you should have went for the head. Boom, like, gone. Great moment. Holy shit, you should have went for the head. That's great stuff there. And then, yeah, we've already talked about a lot of that stuff. Peter's death. Oh my God, the saddest death in the movie for me. Peter Parker, I don't feel very good, Mr. Stark. And, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Oh. That's such a horribly sad scene. And then, yeah, we get Captain Marvel paged at the end of this because we don't get a first credit sequence. We get a second one leading into the $1 billion Captain Marvel. I think everyone was just so excited. And although Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't make anywhere near that much. All right, so all the people that died in the snap: Bucky, Black Panther, Groot, Wanda, Falcon, Mantis, Drax, Peter Quill, Doctor Strange, Peter Parker, Nick Fury, Agent Hill, and then, of course, both Wasps and Hank Pym. If I forgot anybody, let me know. But yeah, I'm guessing freaking Hawkeye's family as well, which I think should be the opening of Endgame. It would be so fucking tragic to watch him at home just hanging out with his family, and then boom, his family just turns to dust before his eyes and Ronan is born. That would be cool. The Ronan and Ronan names are confusing, but whatever. Anyway, guys, there we go. Infinity War. I expected that to be a long one, and it was. Probably because I was talking about freaking Endgame for like 10 minutes of that, and The Hobbit for like 5. But that's what I had to say about it. I'll get to Ant-Man and the Wasp tomorrow, and hopefully I get to see Captain Marvel so I can do a complete. But if I don't, I will see Captain Marvel again and review it just like this in the future. I just really wish I would have been able to see it before Endgame. So maybe I'll make that happen. We'll see. I think I've said that enough. Adios.